So India is suddenly hearing a new phrase, gas crisis. LPG shortages, PNG supply worries, cylinder prices rising. But here is the key question. Is a gas crisis the same as oil crisis? The answer is not even close. Because LPG, PNG and crude oil operates in a completely different system and the impact on India is very different as well. Let's start by telling you how does oil operate, all right? Now, crude oil is the backbone of the economy, quite literally. It becomes petrol, it becomes diesel, jet fuel, industrial fuel as well. India imports about 80% of crude oil, it consumes, which means when oil prices rise, everything becomes expensive. Transport, logistics, manufacturing, food. An oil crisis quickly becomes an economy-wide crisis. Now, compare that to LPG. LPG is primarily a cooking fuel used in more than about 30 crore homes. Most of it goes directly into the kitchens, which means an LPG shortage does not shut down factories, but it hits households quite immediately. Families worry about refilling cylinders, restaurants worry about cooking fuel. The crisis becomes visible in daily life. Let's look at PNG now. PNG works differently again. PNG is piped natural gas. It flows through city gas pipelines, mainly used in your and my homes, urban homes, restaurants, even small industries, and in vehicles as CNG. If supply tightens here, cities feel pressure first, but rural India, that remains largely unaffected. Another major difference here is the global exposure. Oil markets are global, remember. A war in West Asia, disruption in Russia, a hurricane in the US, all can move oil price overnight. And India feels the shock instantly. LPG and PNG supply is more controlled. Government can intervene. They can increase imports. They can divert refinery production, release stock. India typically has about 40 days, we are told, of LPG reserves. And reserving that also is not easy. It's not like you can hoard it. Giving policymakers some kind of breathing room here. There is also the subsidy factor. LPG is subsidized for millions of households under government schemes, which means that the state can cushion price shocks as well. Oil fuels, like petrol, diesel, however, are mostly market priced. So global prices spikes just sort of pass through much faster, and that leads to the biggest difference: economic impact. An oil crisis shakes the entire economy. Markets fall, inflation rises, currencies weaken. But a gas crisis, it is more of a household crisis. Painful for you and me, painful for our families, but less likely to derail economic growth. So while both involve energy, the consequences are very different. An oil shock hits the entire economy. A gas shortage hits the kitchen first. And for India, that difference makes all the difference. But listen, hey, what's the bottom line here? A war is a war, domestic or international, on home turf or international. It is, at the end of the day, the most costly for you and me, the common man. I hope that made things a little bit clear. But if you still have questions, I certainly do. I thought I'll call upon Sakshi here from Business Today to try and help us understand this in a little bit more detail. Sakshi, this was my attempt at just breaking it down very simply for our viewers to say how is it different.
Yeah.
I don't think in my lifetime, at least, I have seen a crisis of this magnitude.
Absolutely.
Where oil prices have gone up the way they have, or LPG crisis has been caused the way they have.
Yes.
When I was talking about this at home, my mother remembered, and she said back in the 90s when the Gulf War had happened, they had seen something like this, but never ever.
Yes.
Help us understand how long is this to continue?
Yeah, that's $1 million question, Sonal, because the government is truly working on the scenario, because we've heard some positive statements from Donald Trump saying, yes, the war is nearly complete. We really hope that the war is nearly complete so that the rest of the situation can be normalized, because at this point in time, we're talking about LPG at households like you're talking about. Here, as per the Essential Commodities Act, I heard you make a mention of that. Yes, the government has also in a way, seeked or talked about force majeure so that they do not not want any disruption to our houses. At least 100% of that demand will be met for now. But what is getting impacted is commercial. So restaurants, hotels, they are actually in a fix right now. What I'm told from all the experts who I've spoken to from the whole day, they're saying just 1 to 2 days of a supply is what we have at this point in time. But beyond that, the government really needs to tell them, will there be any sort of an ease with respect to the kind of supply that they will get to know? Will they get reduced? Will they completely be halted? If they are halted, then what will happen to all those people who are staying at hotels? They need food and water at this point in time. What will happen to thousands of people who are staying there? Even at a small hotel, Royal Orchid is what I was speaking to. He said that I have over 100 hotels at this point in time, 15,000 guests staying on, and I would not know how to provide them breakfast tomorrow morning. So that's the kind of scenario that's playing out. Now remember, this gas crisis is even bigger than the crude oil crisis because crude oil reserves are more than 50, 60 days with us. But for LPG, we do not have storage facilities at the country level, and therefore you are seeing people have only 1 to 2 days, and that too on a bigger scale.
But that begs the question, no, Sakshi, did the government not see this coming? Because this has come as a rude shock to a lot of people. Were industries not prepared? Was the government itself not prepared? Because there seems to be suddenly this morning they woke up and said, oh, I've been told I'm not going to get any gas.
No, actually last 4 days we were already told that some of the industrials, they were already expecting this shortage to hit, because from the time that Qatar Energy, where we import almost 60% of our own needs as far as natural gas is concerned, when they talked about force majeure and when they said Petronet LNG will not be able to import LNG, which is our biggest importer of LNG at this point in time, that's when most of the industry experts realized that there could be some shortage. And 4 days ago, they had already started to talk to the government. This is as an important measure that has been taken to at least protect some of the industries, like households.
Can the government do something to soften
Yes,
the
they
blow?
are raising the production. I'm told today there has been an uptick of 10% on the domestic production of LPG. But remember, the production is minuscule when we compare to the kind of imports that we do.
80% is imported, so.
So 80% is imported of the 60% that we import. And there is about a 10% uptick in production on a day-to-day basis right now. They're saying all the refineries are now told that they have to, produce at 100% capacity right now. Plus, we will have to explore other sources. We're only dependent on Qatar and Saudi right now for our LNG and natural gas needs. But in case we explore maybe Norway, US, logistically it's much expensive. It is a longer route there, but we still have options.
Still take time.
It will take time for them to reach our shores, but that is already getting executed at this point in time. So the meetings are currently underway. There are a lot of to and fro happening. There are IOC, HPCL, BPCL, which are the 3 oil marketing companies. They have formed a committee, and they are going to be speaking to all those restaurant agencies, hotel agencies, and on case-to-case basis, priorities will be set. And it's not like you will be able to hold on, but on a case-to-case basis, you will be now supplied. Some of the other cargoes will be coming in. So
I think fair to say that the cooking gas, or just say the gas crisis, is here to stay till the time we hear more on where the war is going to go. And even if the war were to say stop tomorrow, even then for the supply chain to get going, it will take a while. So all of us, all we can do is pray perhaps and hope that Donald Trump, wakes up in a better mood and all of us get out of this war sooner rather than later, because now it's costing us and it's getting directly to our industries.
And kitchens.
Yes.
And our kitchens.
Yes.